that water is going to back up into the well, it's going to plug the well up, and it's going to potentially ruin the well for its life. So dependability that Tony's talking about is very critical. On top of that, if you're a truck driver or you have a staff of truck drivers that, hey, you know what, I can take this to the spot I'm supposed to dump it off, but you know what, half the way there I know there's a creek or I know there's a pond or something that I can dump that in. Why go that far? Just do it here, nobody will ever know. That is real critical for us from an environmental point of view because A, we're not allowed to and we'll be fine, but B, the last thing we want is for something to be dumped in a place that it's not allowed to be. So are we willing to pay more per hour or per truck load or something to make sure that we have dependability, credible companies 100%? If you don't follow the minimums, I don't care what your price is, it's not any good to us. So from that part, we're willing to pay what's a fair amount for what the pure service is from that point of view. And I think that's important to know that it's very important. We live in this area, we want to make sure that everything is followed to a T. Mom and pop type companies, I just went through real quick this morning and some of the companies that I know that we use up here in the Indiana area, welding, T&L Welding, one-person company. He does a lot of welding for us. I'm sure we're 100% of his business, but that is an example of a small one. The trucking that he talked about is Force. I think they started out very small, and they've grown to a medium-sized company. Earthwork people, somebody that actually does the earthwork, to build our pads, to do the roads in and out. Penn Mechanic, a local company. Drilling. There's actually two types of drilling. One is called a top hole drill, the top hole rig. The other is a horizontal. The top hole rigs are a smaller type rig that can come in, drill the vertical part of the well. Then usually after they do the whole pad's work, the 4, 6, 8, however many holes are on the pad, the big horizontal rigs come in, which usually most of them are from Texas, Oklahoma, Illinois type area, mainly because there's no Pennsylvania companies that have any of these large rigs. So the top hole companies that we use that are local, Falcon and Northeast Energy, both of them located right here in Indiana. Pipeline type things, whether it's people who lay pipeline or whether it's people who do maintenance on it, Northeast Energy is another one right here. Well tending is another one. And well tending is a note that I'll state that well tending is a job that will be here for hundreds of years. A driller will come in and drill this area up, and it may take, Marcellus is fortunate that way, whenever they go into an area, it may take 10, 15 years or whatever. The average life of these wells are over 50 years old. That's what we book them on our books, that every well is going to last over 50 years. And currently, we have wells today, they're not Marcellus, but we have wells in other plays in the area that are over 50 years old that are still producing. Every one of those wells has a well tender that's gone out there, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, and checks on the well and does different maintenance stuff to it. Most of those are smaller, mom-pop type companies that are in the area. Appalachian Production Services is a local company here that does that for us. The inspector for welding and non-destructive testing, Diamond Technical Service out of Indiana is a company that we use. Cementing of the well for all of our strings, whether it's the water strings or our production strings, Appalachian Well Service, which is locally here. Drilling fluids, you've got Halliburton that's locally here, and fracking also with them, and for services, Superior Well Service also is local. So I'm sure whenever the industry picked up, local people were hired. We also have another example is a roustabout. This person has a small dump truck and a small backhoe. All that they do is they go out and do a little excavating, whether it's cleaning out a drain, whether it's fixing a gate, different things that way. Randy Keller Excavating's done a great job for us. There's other things that get into the secondary that that we were talking about here earlier. Jim went over some of them, anything from the food services, hotel stays, theater, tires. Every time I go get a new set of tires, I let the person I know that I buy my tires from, Marcellus Shale, pay for these tires, because the tire salesman also is getting money from the Marcellus. Fuel, cleaning, mechanics, trucks, etc. Talk about some way that you can go out and learn. There is the Marcellus Shale Coalition has a website. It's called the Marcellus on Main Street. The concept of that site is to connect people to different businesses and things out there, and it has a business-to-business part out there also. So you can go out to it, the website, www.marcellusonmainstreet, all one word, .org. If you go out to that site, it has different companies out there, it has educational things out there, it has everything from where local hotels are, to places to eat, to places that you can buy gasoline and everything else. If you're a small company and you're trying to get started, it's also, you can go out and get your company name out there for a minimum price. I think it's like $25. And you can go ahead and register your company to that website, so that when people are coming in and trying to find services and different things like that, you'll be able to go down through and it'll be categorized on even on a food service or on welding or on something that way, that you can actually go out and have your name pop up whenever people are looking on that site for services or commodities or different things that way. It's very cheap advertising for you. It's something that I would recommend. But it also has things on that site that can help educate you on what is Marcellus Shale, what are some of the type companies that are out there, what are things that other people are doing, how is it affecting our area. So I think that is one that's a great educational tool, and it's on the web, it's free.
Just briefly before we open it up to public questions, I just want to give each one of you a chance to add anything that you weren't able to talk about during the 8 questions we had here, starting with you, Tom.
I just kind of like to follow up on what he's saying. That another study was done that for a general understanding of the supply chain, very useful. It's called Understanding the Marcellus Shale Supply Chain. And if you Googled and you went on how can a business sell to the Marcellus supply chain, this study pops up. It was done by the University of Pittsburgh Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence. And it gives kind of an outline of the various development steps in the development of a well, from concept to production. Doesn't give a lot of specific ideas of what you might do, but it gives you a very good understanding of the overall process. And earlier I said that price was often not an issue when people were buying these services, and he very correctly articulated the reason for that, that the reliability is really important in cost savings. I'm theorizing, not certain that I'm right here, but that cost is going to become more important right now because the supply of natural gas is plentiful, the price has dropped. I'm thinking that some of these companies would be starting to turn their eyes a little bit to areas where they could save some money. So that brings us again to the area of innovation. So we've had a couple things we worked on with people that came in and wanted to innovate with something, and we're more than willing to do that. But a little bit for that, we need to get some more access to some of the sites to just go out and look and understand better what's going on.
Rex, anything else to add?
Yeah, I would agree with Tony that when pricing goes down, we do pull back, and we're going to not do as much, and we're going to look much harder at all of our cost structure. And not that we're not always looking at our dollars and where we're spending it, but it has got to the point we're looking at the pennies now, so it does matter. But where we're really concerned the most is total cost. And the biggest thing that I want to reiterate is that, and it's not just Consol, I'll give credit to the Ranges and the Chesapeakes and others also, that safety is a #1 thing in our industry. We're really working hard as an industry to make sure that we're very safe safe and compliant. I think that the one thing that the people in the Marcellus Shale Coalition and others have done very well is that the belief here really is that we don't want to move into an area and end up having regulation from them telling us how to tie our shoes and everything else. Well, for us not to do that, then we have to be responsible and do it ourselves first and do it better than what regulation would do and more efficient than regulation would do it so that it doesn't happen. 90% of the time, every new regulation, every new law, every new thing comes out of somebody making a mistake, and that's how it happens. So if we can be good partners with the community and not make those mistakes and be fair, then we feel that the regulations will come on us equally. And I think that you'll really find that most all the companies really are doing their best to do that. We're no different than any other group of 4 or more people. You're always going to have a rogue person do something wrong. And we're really trying to self-regulate and really work hard to make sure that we do what is right for everybody here.
Jim, final words, and then we'll take questions from the audience.
I'd just like to wrap up. As I was going through this, I remembered a story that I think really is a nice illustration about how this opportunity is going to work its way through the entire economy. Our office got a phone call a few weeks ago from a security company. They had just gotten a security contract to oversee several dozen well sites in southern Pennsylvania, northern West Virginia. And one of the things they needed to find was a company that could provide porta-johns for each of those well sites for their security people to use. So here is some supplier of porta-johns that is going to get a big bump in business and not be directly paid. That money's not going to be directly coming from an oil and gas company, but it is a benefit of the Marcellus economy. So who knows where the benefit will end up for someone, but I think that shows that it's real and it's going to go everywhere.